Do you think the market is too excited about the prospect of a stimulus where it could come before the election, it could come after the election? I mean, what if Biden wins and the Senate stays Republican? Then what happens to stimulus?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now we're talking about stimulus, before the election, maybe that comes about. I think the issue on stimulus and stimulus hopes is that with rising polling showing an increased odds of not only a Biden win, but a Democratic sweep, not only a potential for a Democratic wave, but a significant increase in the Senate, that's raising odds in the markets for significant fiscal policy stimulus. And so certainly if you don't get that, there could be some disappointments around that. How much fiscal policy stimulus do we get versus how much is it offset in terms of expectations by other policy initiatives? And the net is really the impact in terms of growth and inflation expectations. I think when we look at this, the market does have an issue with sequencing, that we can focus on the immediate policy change. Markets are focused on fiscal policy, but you have lots of other policy initiatives, and whether those policies are pro-growth and pro-inflation or anti-growth and anti-inflation really remains to be seen in terms of the path that policy evolves in post this election outcome. Very hard to see how that's going to play out right now.
Jeff, does the performance differential between European and U.S. equities make sense to you so far year to date?
Well, it's a very different topic and it's a very different situation. Certainly a lot of that has to do, there's a macro story and there's a micro story. The macro story in terms of differential COVID performance, the micro story just in terms of the relative share and dominance of tech and tech winners within the U.S. equity indices relative to their European counterparts. So it's sometimes when you look at that differential, it's important. It's not really talking about differences in economies. It's really talking about the differences in the underlying structures of those indices. And obviously the tech-focused issues around policy and policy changes are another big area of uncertainty when we talk about that policy path that may evolve post this election.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.